Hello, lovely ladies of the One of Many community. Welcome to Tuesday's Lunch and Learn Live with a little bit of my chair sticking into the shot there. Let's get rid of that, shall we? How are you all on this very fine Tuesday? As you arrive here on the page, and I'm wondering whether we're going to have a lot today or not, because I'm sure many of my regulars are involved in the Renew Challenge, the Renew online journey that we're doing this week. It's happening right now. We have a 5-day journey of transformation occurring in our very own little pop-up Facebook group. You can come and join us at oneofmany.co.uk/renew, where we are helping everybody to get out of the exhaustion, the overwhelm, the bordering on, or the right smack bang in the middle of burnout, and helping us back to getting to fine. It's happening this week, and the feedback so far for the over 900 women that are so far in the group with us has been overwhelming. So do come and join us. And it will be interesting to see how many ladies join me live today, because I bet a bunch of you are in there. As you arrive, do say hello to me in the comments section. Let me know where in the world you are and what's for lunch. Yay! Patricia is here in Germany, and she is no longer so angry. I'm glad to hear it, Patricia. The work that we have been doing over the last week or so has been helpful then. Good to hear it, my darling. Good to hear it. Who else is joining me here? Do say hello. Let me know what's for lunch. I just had scrambled eggs with feta cheese and a bit of ham tossed around in it. A bit of salad on the side, and I'm enjoying a green tea. Valerie is here again, enjoying a tuna wrap today. Very nice. Kind of feel like it's I feel like a radio announcer. Hello to Valerie, enjoying her tuna wrap in Normandy. Bonjour. Guten Tag, Patricia, in Berlin. Good to see you all, my darlings. Today we are talking about something which I think is really important for us to talk about at the moment, and that is isolation. And we are continuing as part of our Renew theme. This is not something we're going to be talking about in detail as part of Renew, so this is a perfect complement to the Renew journey that we're on this week. But I wanted to bring something that would augment that journey and help us to understand the situation a little more deeply, and why it is so critical that we reach out and get support and help that we need right now. And that is, I love it. Tracy is asking, does birthday cake count as lunch? Yes, it does, Tracy. It absolutely does, but not the size of slice that I gave you. You need a much bigger slice than that for it to count as lunch. It's Tracy's birthday, so give it up for Tracy in the comments section with a happy birthday to her. Very exciting. Very, very exciting. So, we're talking about something important, though, when it comes to our energy and renewing our energy and overcoming burnout, and that is overcoming social isolation. Now, I bet that most of the women in our community are not elderly. They're not at home, by themselves all of the time. You're mobile. You're able to get out and about. So we don't necessarily fall into a lot of the research on isolation and loneliness. But, and there is a very big but, I would put forward that the overwhelming majority of us are not as plugged into our support networks as we were 18 months ago. There would have been things happening every day in our lives, whether it was talking to other mums at the school gates, whether it was talking to our staff at the office or our team at the office, whether it was, a regular Thursday coffee that you had with a friend, whatever it is. I reckon I'm putting forward, and there's going to be exceptions to the rule, but I would put forward that on average, we have gotten more isolated in these last 18 months because of all of the lockdowns that we have been tolerating and the everything related to the COVID-19 pandemic. We've been disconnected from our work colleagues, a lot of us. Even those of us who are seeing our work colleagues every day, like in the NHS and the hospitals, and we're supporting a lot of women in the NHS community at the moment, are absolutely doing their doing their work alongside their work colleagues. But I know from everything I hear, you are talking less to each other, hardly looking at each other in the halls because everyone is exhausted and not brave enough to ask, how are you? Because the answer is oftentimes pretty messy. We are isolated from our families. You know, I haven't seen my family now for over 2 years. And I know I'm not alone in that. And so we are and even if you are hanging out with your friends, I look at even my own mummy group, right, who were prior to the pandemic, one of my key support networks. We would meet every month on the 21st. Today's the 21st, and we would get together and we would chat and we would meditate together, and we were a spiritual support for each other and an emotional support for each other. And we just have not been able to get back into our regular 21st meetings, even though technically we're allowed to do that, since March 2020. I think we probably had 3 Zoom calls over that lockdown period. And these were the women for whom, you know, they were my safe space, you know. It makes me very emotional to say it out loud, actually, to kind of acknowledge it. And I think most of us have experienced this over the last 18 months. It has been either impossible because it has been illegal to hang out with our friends, and even hanging out on Zoom has a different kind of vibe, right? Or it's complex and we haven't gotten back into it. And this is why it's really important, ladies. I want to share some research with you, and I've just did a quick bit of research to share with you on this point. Now, this is the interesting thing. Most of the research into social isolation and loneliness is done in the elderly, right? It's done in the elderly, or newborns is the other place that there's research that you can find relatively easily. But let's just speak it here for a second. From the American Journal of Epidemiology, our research shows that the magnitude of risk presented by social isolation is very similar in magnitude to that of obesity, smoking, lack of access to care, and physical inactivity. So social isolation doubled the risk of early death. Doubled the risk of early death in Black participants in the study, and increased the risk among white participants of 60 to 84%. Just take that in for a minute. Now, that is in the elderly, right? That is in the elderly. But if just social isolation and being lonely, right? Being lonely, feeling lonely, can double your risk of early death if you're Black, or increase it by 60 to 84% if you're white. First of all, how shitty is that we've got this discrepancy? Makes me angry. Even so, if it can do that, which is similar, as the researcher says, to obesity, inactivity, smoking, or lack of access to care when it comes to your morbidity and your mortality. And she says they weighed also, we overlook this dramatically in our lives. Researchers do a lot of study into the elderly, but hang on a second. We are all, I don't know how far away you are from it, 10, 20, 30 years away from this statistics. The system here that I have is exactly the same system as my grandmother before she passed. So why would loneliness impact me any less? It might not double my risk of dying, right? It might not double my risk of dying, but does it make sense that would have a negative impact on my morbidity, on my health outcomes, on my mental health? Of course it does, dramatically. And the flip side, you know, I used to read a lot of studies into newborns because everyone told you, you know, do the cry it out method, leave your controlled crying. And something about that always struck me as not particular. Like, I always kind of think little babies are just, they're animals, right? They don't have a consciousness yet in the way that we do. They don't know what's right and wrong. So if a baby's crying, surely it needs attention. I don't think it's just trying to manipulate me, was how I always kind of thought it. And as I did the research all showed this, that a newborn, if you leave the baby to cry, will have a spike in adrenaline and stress hormones. And it will do that in the first 2 days of controlled crying, and then basically it gives up. It gives up the crying, but the spikes in stress hormones, the stress levels, still go up when that child is left alone in a room by itself. If our adrenaline is higher when we are newborns, when we're left alone in a room by ourselves and we're stressed, which we know because there's research that shows that. And if our death rate goes up by 60 to 100%, depending on our racial background, when we're elderly, if we have social isolation, doesn't it stand to reason that when we're in the great bit of life in the middle, called childhood, adulthood, middle age, that we too have high stress levels when we're not with people that are supportive and nourishing of us? Yet we overlook this. We overlook it time and time and time again. We think we're coping. And then here's the other thing I want to say about this. You think, or you might think, that you're not lonely. But I don't know about you, but the last 6 months of last year was probably some of the loneliest in my life. And I was in a house full of people. Couldn't go and see my friends, couldn't go and see my family. And because I was depleted and so was my husband, we were not getting along particularly well. And the kids were also stressed and homeschooling and all of that kind of stuff. I've never felt as lonely as I felt in my own house. And I was would actively, as I said, I've been chatting to you ladies through this whole time, actively reaching out to my mates, actively reaching out to therapists and healers and doing all of that sort of stuff. But God, so alone. So I know I'm not alone in this. Let me know in the comment section if you can relate to what I'm talking about here, that we can be in a space with people but still feel alone, still feel isolated. This feeling of isolation, this feeling of disconnection is hurting us. It is hurting our health. It is hurting our well-being. And for those of you who are doing the Renew journey with me this week, putting this pillar back in place is critical to your ability to recover, critical to your ability to find your resilience and your bounce back, right? It is so awesomely important. Yeah, Lynn says these are staggering figures. They are, aren't they, right? Absolutely staggering figures. Cynthia says, I don't have family except for my grown son, so I don't have that sense of extended family loss. It has been isolating, but also freeing from very toxic people. Now, this is the piece that we do need to think about. Sometimes distancing ourselves from people is the best thing we can do if they are indeed toxic. But today I want to focus on, have you then replaced, removing toxic people from your life with those that are nourishing and supportive of you? Or are you experiencing the symptoms of isolation? Now, let's have a look at another piece of research that talks about the symptoms, how we might know that we are experiencing isolation that is problematic. This is from Tulane University. Avoiding social interactions, including those that were once enjoyable. How many invitations have you turned down? How many times have you said no lately? Cancelling plans frequently and feeling relief when plans are cancelled. Experiencing anxiety or panic when thinking about social interactions. Feeling distress during periods of solitude. Feeling dread associated with social activities. Spending large amounts of time alone or with extremely limited contact with others. These symptoms are symptoms of social isolation, and that can involve emotional isolation, which is where we don't want to open up, we don't want to have interact emotionally with others. Can involve physical isolation, where we're not connecting with people. But these are risk factors. These are little signs or symptoms. And if you are doing those things, you are probably isolated. And if you are isolated, it is impacting your neurology. It is impacting your nervous system. Now, I was looking for some research on this. I haven't been able to track any down, but I bet it's out there because it is way too common in the conversation here in One of Many for it not to be a thing. But in lockdown, when we started, we all jumped onto Zoom and we would have Zoom meetings and we are like, oh, wow, I'm catching up with family I never caught up with before. But there was having now been teaching, virtually this way as I have for many, 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 many months, and then recently going back and teaching in the room again up at Stratford Manor. We just had our coaching certification. Prior to that, we had Be Fulfilled. We've got a Be Vital coming up this weekend. The difference of being physically in space with an aligned group of people, the nourishment of that compared to the nourishment that we can achieve virtually. And it's an amazing, right? We can achieve an amazing thing. But that nourishment that we can achieve when we're in a room with someone who is not just saying the right things, but they're energetically there for us. That can be felt. It's palpable. And I'm sure there's science to back this up. Certainly there is in newborns again, right? Newborns can tell when they don't need words. They just need to be held. They need physical presence or someone in the room with them. This makes a big difference. But I really do think that this is one of the downsides of our current, virtual working culture that we've all shifted into, is we are not getting the neurological balm that helps shift us from sympathetic to parasympathetic. I'm sure that being with people and having a laugh, just being chilled with others helps shift us from sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system, helps us unplug and calm our neurology. And we are not getting back into the habit fast enough of getting ourselves into those spaces. Now, I know that the women who are participating in Renew, and if you've just joined us today, Renew is a 5-day journey of renewal that I'm hosting for our entire One of Many community this week. It is completely free. You are absolutely welcome to join. We'll put a link in the chat channel. It's oneofmany.co.uk/renew. And I would love for you to invite your friends into that space and have as many people as you need come on that journey with you. But the women who are going through this are already feeling the balm of at least a virtual support network. I cannot count how many women in the comments we've only been going now for a little over 24 hours. I cannot count how many times in the comments women have said, I'm feeling all of these things, but I can't tell my friends, or I can't tell my normal friendship group. I haven't told them because they've all got stuff going on too. It's interesting, isn't it? Because everybody in the world right now has got stuff going on, even the women in Renew, but we're happy to share it in there. And no one feels burdened by other people's stuff in this space, because what is underpinning it all is a sense of we are all in this together and we are here for each other, and just hearing each other out. Hearing each other out is a gift. We need these spaces where we can feel safe to open up, where we can feel safe to open up and say, you know what? I am so angry about so much that nothing can happen without me snapping. Or I am so overwhelmed that every day I'm crying at the moment. I am so overwhelmed that I am actively thinking about leaving my family home and just running away from it all because I can't cope. These spaces are so important, and that's what we're doing here at Renew. We're opening up. And some women are going on this journey not because they're not okay, but because they want to be able to be even more resilient. They have a step that they want to go up to, something more they want to contribute in the world, and they want to get as resourced as possible and to kickstart themselves back into good habits, even better habits. So it doesn't matter where you are, Renew is for you. Come and join us at oneofmany.co.uk/renew if you're not already in it. And bearing that in mind, one of the critical pieces that it is forming for our women, and that I invite you to really look at, is your support network. Who are the people that you have around you? Who supports you every day? Versus who are you the strong one for? Because if you're like most of the women in the one of many community, not all of them, but many, you are the pillar of strength. You are the one who is there for your family, for your friends, for your work colleagues, oftentimes, the one burdening shouldering that responsibility. Who is there for you? Where do you let that burden go? Where is the space where it's safe for you to say, you know what, I'm feeling a bit rubbish today? Or guess what, something fabulous happened today. And you can share it without feeling like you're going to upset the other person because they didn't have something fabulous. Or you can share it without feeling like you're going to upset the other person and they're going to think that they've got it tougher than you and need to prove that to you. Where are those spaces? Where are those relationships? Where are those friendships for you? Because we need them, not just because they're good for our hearts, for our emotional selves, for our soul, but because they keep us alive. They keep us out of our sympathetic nervous system. They keep us nourished and well. Isolation is as big of a risk factor for early death as obesity, smoking, lack of access to care. This is a big deal. We need to give it attention. Let me know in the comments how this is landing for you. I love it. Karen says, I definitely feel this. I went to an actual rave a couple of weeks ago. I know, right? At my age, I'm with you, sister. I dance every Monday night if I can, and there's definitely raving moments. I'd been wanting to go for years, and me and my new partner had been talking about it and getting excited, but there were no COVID rules, nothing, and it definitely felt tinged a little with wariness and weirdness. The school run too. I used to love the school run and catching up, but now it feels a bit odd. And this is it, right? This is the next piece. Once we acknowledge for ourselves, as Karen has said, that we want to reintegrate and we want to get connected, we are now navigating this kind of fear, which is underpinning everything. So, fear, of course, activates our sympathetic nervous system, underpinning everything because of COVID. Because of, gosh, I can't get too close to this person. And I mean, there's one because I don't want to catch or don't want to give them COVID. We don't want to transmit COVID. That's one. But there's this other layer on top of it is, what are they going to think about me standing that close? What are they thinking about me wearing my mask? What are they thinking about me not wearing my mask? Another layer of stress around our interactions on top of the old-fashioned stuff that we used to have before all of this of I don't belong and I don't fit in and all of that shit that we grew up with because we were bullied at school or whatever. It's impossible. It's not impossible. It's completely possible. We can do this because we can do hard things, but I want to speak to the challenge that is there, right? This is so critical. So critical. Yes, Cynthia says it's so important to speak this. Care is so important, and integration of care for others is critical. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lynn says, I went to my first women-only business networking meeting last week. It felt so good to be in a room full of women. However, I could feel the nerves and fear of some of the women if you got too close to them. Some of them kept their distance. The energies of the room were completely different than the past events before COVID. It's going to take a long time for some people to feel safe and integrate again. I think that's right, Len. And I think it's also about container, because I've got to say, being back in the one of many room, it was like balm for the soul. We had little, red, orange, or green stickers. So those who wanted to keep their distance would have a little red sticker and they would keep a little further away. Green stickers were happy to hug and go for it. And, we kind of managing and watching each other's energy in that way. And because we had those boundaries and we'd set the container strongly, everyone was able to participate in a very relaxed way, which was powerful. And we need these balms, but it takes a while for us to be okay, right? It absolutely takes a while for us to be okay. So first of all, I want to set you a challenge to, in the comment section, I want you to write a message of thanks to somebody, and it might be someone here in this community or it might be a friend of yours. A message of thanks and tag them saying, thanks for being there for me. And that's the first challenge. Who can you think of that has been there for you? Who is your person, to coin a Meredith Grey phrase, who's been a person for you, your person for you over this last 18 months? For me, it's been my mate, Sarah Price. She has been there for me through some of the most biggest ups and downs, biggest business challenges, relationship challenges, health challenges, you name it. She's been there. Write a message of thanks. Write a message of thanks to them. And we're going to have a little thanking competition right now. So I'm going to do something crazy again, Tracy. Tracy was about to take a sip of a coffee and instead has grabbed her pen. I'm going to give away a bronze membership, an annual bronze membership to Living the Change. Now, Living the Change is our membership coaching program. And we at the bronze level, you get all of the access to our library of tools and resources, and you get 2 to 3 times a month a Q&A session with one of our exquisite coaches, and all sorts of amazing goodies. You get welcomed into the Hearth, which is our online space and an amazing community. We have had women absolutely recover themselves from burnout with the bronze level of Living the Change. It's extraordinary what people are able to do with this powerful, powerful program. Fix relationships, change career, you name it. It's extraordinary. Bronze level of Living the Change is valued at, must be, can I do quick maths? About £420 for the year. And I'm going to give away a bronze Living the Change because I want us to celebrate sisterhood, celebrate connection. All you have to do to enter this is in the video, in the comments on this video, I want you, as Valerie has just done, thank your friend. See Valerie's done it. She says, thank you, Françoise Alix, for always being there for me, even if you do not read English. I love it. Maybe you should rewrite it for her again, Valerie, in French, so she knows what you're talking about there. So tag your friend in the comment and thank her for something, for being there for you, because we all have someone. And then after you're done, and I can't measure whether you do this for entering the competition, I want you to reach out to that person privately. Call her up or send her an email or write her a love letter and say, thank you. You're special to me. Now, why do I ask you to do this? Because it is when we're investing in our friends, when it's not tough, when the times are not tough, that we build up that beautiful network for when the shit does hit the fan. Right? This is the key piece. If we can acknowledge and send love, like Sarah, bless her, bless Sarah. She sends me postcards and letters just with little love letters. Have I got one? I got one the other day from her. It must be downstairs. Just saying, darling, I'm here for you no matter what. Just out of the blue for no reason. She's the most exquisite friend. Exquisite. So I want you to tag your friend in here because then I know that you've taken the action, but you've got to follow it up with reaching out to her properly, right? And do that, and you'll go in the entry to win a bronze level of Living the Change. And I will announce it in the Renew group on Friday. How does that sound? In the Renew group on Friday. So hopefully you're in the Renew group. If you're not in the Renew group, go join it and come on in there. So that will give 2 steps then. You've got to thank your friend and go join Renew. It's free. It's okay. Just get in the group so you know if you've won. But this is it. Yes, that's it, Valerie. I love it. Merci, Françoise, pour toujours être présente pour moi. Tu es mon rock. Très bien. I love it. And this is it, Lynn. Thank you for being there for me, Jan Leach, for supporting me every step of the way for the past 18 months and before. Yes. Let's celebrate our sisters. Aisha says, thank you to my kids' childminder, Celine, for being there for us as family through lots of challenges that life throws at us. Make sure you're tagging your friend so that she can see these beautiful things you're saying about her. Thank you, Charlotte Hill. You know I love you lots. Looking forward to giving you and a little and an actual hug at the weekend. I love it. Spread the love, right? This little investment and then following it up with a proper, deeper investment is going to help you to get reconnected to those places where it nourishes you and supports you and helps you back to your well being. And if you are depleted, having time with loved ones is critical. It's a critical step, a really critical step in this. So, we've talked about a lot today, ladies. We've talked about why social isolation is a problem. We've talked about the research in the elderly and in newborns, and how, even though we're in the middle, it stands to reason that we're still the same human beings having the same stress responses. So, it's still critically important. We've talked about how we've gotten out of the habit of it and how to get back into the habit of it. And we've talked about the signs of social isolation that we might be experiencing. I've set you a challenge to reach back out to people, and I'm incentivizing it to make sure that you do it by giving away a place on Living the Change. All you got to do is tag your friend in the comments section and acknowledge her for whatever she has, and it might be a man as well, whatever they've given for you, how they've been there for you over the last however long. And then reach out to them afterwards. And I'll announce the winner into the Renew group on Friday. Ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, spending some time with you today. I hope that today has helped you to get in action on something which is important for you. If it has, share the video with a friend. If this has been meaningful for you, share it to your Facebook page. Please do. We're on a mission to get these tools in the hands of 1 million women. I want 1 million women to be able to step up, step out of burnout, and make the impact that they were born to make in the world. This world needs changing for the better now more than ever before, and we need your help to reach as many as we can to support them to sustainably do that. Because if we're burning out, we can't get it done. So I invite you to support me with that. Share this video far and wide today, my darlings, and come and join us in Renew so I can invest in you and nourish you up over the course of the week ahead. I look forward to seeing you in there at oneofmany.co.uk/renew. And thanks again for being here. Thanks for being a part of the One of Many vision and a One of Many community. It's just the most divine place to spend my time. And I am grateful for you. Thanks, darlings. Bye.